The early 20th century was a time of great turmoil in Europe, with the First World War ravaging the continent from 1914 to 1918. During the beginning of the war, America chose to stay neutral and adopted a policy of only selling arms and equipment until several inflaming events led to the US declaring war. This is the story of Piers Winship, a young entrepreneur from the East Coast who would become wrapped up in this conflict. Winship was born the 8th of August, 1882, to Jonathan and Joyce Winship, an immigrant couple hailing from England. He found success in his early 20s after opening a shoe manufacturing plant. In an attempt to grow his company and expand his market, Winship planned to leave to England in 1915 and hoped to stay with his uncle, planning to establish a manufacturing plant in Liverpool. He purchased a first-class ticket aboard the RMS Lusitania and departed for England from New York on May 1st, 1915. The ship was sunk 6 days later, on May the 7th, off the coast of Ireland. He was one of the 128 American passengers aboard. The ship was sunk by a German U-boat. This would become an infamous attack and would begin to turn America's opinion against Germany. Winship's body would never be recovered, and only a waterlogged journal locked in his suitcase would wash ashore. The following text are excerpts from his recovered journal. They document his attitude and perception of events leading up to the sinking of the RMS Lusitania. August 19th, 1914. We've got some news that all of Europe has erupted in war after an assassination. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and their allies are squaring off with France, Great Britain, and their allies. I've spoken to Jim, the plant foreman, about switching some of our production to wartime equipment. We've decided to start manufacturing boots for Great Britain. April 12th, 1915. Today I spoke with Dad. We decided I should go and start a plant back in England to cut down on shipping costs. His brother lives in Liverpool, and he helped me set up there once I get there. I've only met him once when I was 15, but from what I recall, he was an agreeable man, and I look forward to a future partnership. The war in Europe has been good for business, as sad as it is to say. Switching some production to boots was a marvelous decision, although some shipments have been lost to those dreadful torpedo attacks. I do hope the war ends swiftly, no matter how good it is for my business. I'd hate for America to be dragged into the conflict. This is their war, after all. April 30th, 1915. I bought my ticket for my trip to England. I'll be boarding the RMS Lusitania in Manhattan. I bought a first-class ticket, as I've always been excited for the luxuries of a cruise ship. The only thing that gives me trouble is this dreadful notice displayed next to the advertisement for the voyage. It read as follows. Notice: travelers intending to embark on the Atlantic voyage are reminded that a state of war exists between Germany and her allies and Great Britain and her allies, that the war zone includes the waters adjacent to the British Isles, that, in accordance with the formal policy given by the Imperial German government, vessels flying the flag of Great Britain, or any of her allies, are liable to destruction in those waters, and that travelers sailing in the zone of war on the ships of Great Britain or her allies do so at their own risk. Imperial German Embassy, Washington, D.C., 22nd of April, 1915. I should hope that our ship finds clear passage, as we are after all just an ocean liner, not some warship. We depart on the 1st of May, and I'm excited for the voyage and the prospects of England, regardless of the state of ocean warfare. May 3rd, 1915. Sea travel is absolutely wonderful. It's a shame Mother and Father had such a dreadful experience crossing, but they were in first class in such a luxurious ship. I've had more steak than you could imagine, and I've been eyeing this young socialite at the bar. Her name is Rita Joyvet, and she's an actress in silent films. I hope to work up the courage to talk to her. Other passengers were worried about the displayed notice as well, but we were assured by the captain that we would have safe passage, and we should be arriving within the next several days. Honestly, if it were up to me, we'd sail on forever, as this has been quite the adventure. May 7th, 1915. We're almost to the port of Liverpool. I'm eager to meet my uncle and begin work on the factory. We are within the zone of war which was discussed on the flyer, but so far things have been quiet. I'm going to pack up my things and will continue to write more when there's news on the factory. Those were the final written words of Piers Winship. He perished in the cold waters of the Atlantic, and his sealed suitcase containing his journal washed ashore days later. Without his management, the shoe factory faltered despite increased demands for boots for the war effort. Despite Winship's wish to remain neutral, this event would be a driving factor in the U.S.'s involvement in the war. In the